sort of thing. The
There you
recording's in
go.
progress, right?
Ta-ra.
And if I go onto there like that,
There you go. Let's stick it in the grips now.
oh look, I think I've just seen it. I think this is looking good. There it is.
Yep.
Going
Yep.
live.
Flying everywhere.
Comments will appear here. Seanin, my
Ta-da!
love, we're on live. How you doing?
Really well. You've been very friendly now. You were so rude to me for the last 5 minutes. I'm not joking.
Oh look, only once, only twice. Why change the habits of a lifetime? Because that's the problem, isn't it? That's what we have to let go of. The
Yeah.
habits of a lifetime. The very formative forces that have brought us to this place just here and now. We have to jettison them completely and allow our real essential selves to come to the fore. Quintessential, actually, the fifth element. Right.
Baby almond.
Yeah, because that's what I'm getting.
It's
I'm
good.
getting body, mind, soul, spirit, which, and then you are the quintessential essence. So you are the fifth element.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I've been having conversations with myself all day and we've just spoken about this that I talk to myself all day long, right? And I very clearly don't want to have to edit my language in. Like I know and I know that I don't want to have to edit my subject matter. I don't want to have to suppress or overthink things. Like I find it very, very difficult to do now. It's near impossible. Like so I just don't want to be there with anything at the minute.
Yeah, yeah. I just like tap on my heart and say, "Speak through me, dear heart."
Yes.
And then what comes out, and if it becomes Dr. Effin Joe, then maybe there's
Yeah.
one person who says, "Oh, he's a real person. He says swear words and he's a doctor." And they may listen to what I've got to say and then go off and do good works. We can't tell, can we? We don't know. I mean, I used to I'd say words and I'll say, I'll project it over there and I'll get that person there. So it was all manipulative, really. And now
Yeah.
I'm at a stage now where I couldn't give a shit. I just couldn't give a shit.
I used to come on here and be very practiced and very I was like my neuroticism has eliminated to a degree. I feel like there's an enormous amount that's left me. Um, but I just can't be bothered with the effort anymore. Like it's too much effort to think about. I'm already feeling so much and thinking so much and processing so much all the time in a good way right now. I feel good essentially. Like there's still immense discomfort and lots of challenges. But in an essential way, I feel good, and I can't be arsed to effort at anything.
No.
Like, I feel like I've more time that way. Like, time has changed.
So do
Time
you
has changed.
think?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Go on.
I thought you'd stop there because normally
No, it's all right.
there's no gaps for me to get in. You know what I mean?
No,
But
you're allowed to interrupt me once. You interrupt me another 3 or 4 times, Joe, there'll be an argument.
look,
Go ahead.
now I've lost my train of thought. Now, what I was going to say is I've no idea. It'll come back to me. Back to Oh, I know. Yeah. So, did you know that by regulating the way your breathing is, you regulate your heart, and then that regulates your brain waves? So, which regulate your choices, which regulate your energy usage as well. So, by
Mhm.
becoming aware of your breathing, you actually manage time and energy. And that's why you were saying is when you've got more energy, you've got more vitality, and then you can channel those to the things that you enjoy doing. Because we've
Mhm.
spent so much time, haven't we, burning energy foolishly.
Mhm. Masses amounts of it. I've did spent all day relaxing. I was in the park. I've read so many books. I have lots of reasons to not be doing that right now, but there's not an urgency and there's so much time. And I see such necessity for that for all of us now. Like, why do we not live in a world where relaxation is not a priority? Like, why is that not a priority in every single day?
Do you think that we maybe have been influenced by other forces that have basically engineered the way we think in order to make money, but not for ourselves, but for just a sort of select group of individuals?
Yes.
Mm. Good.
Yeah.
This is good that you've agreed with me. This is a positive start to this. Right. So I look at capitalism. So caput means head.
Hmm.
Caput means head, so I call it capitalism.
Yeah.
And it's also, as we know, don't we, that it's driven by a masculine tendency within us, not a male, but a masculine tendency that's in all human beings,
Hmm.
which is probably when it's off key and not doing what it should, it can turn into like a narcissistic bully type energy as well. But because there's another side in us as well, the feminine, right? There's always this sort of constant conflict, which causes cognitive dissonance, which causes emotional disturbance, which causes a hell of a lot of problems.
I used to have a lot of that. I was heavily masculinized, and spent the whole of my life working and working and working, and I'm experiencing I can't be bothered anymore.
Mm.
Like, I don't want anything to be hard, and I don't need to, but it's because all these things I believed about myself. I used to think I have to earn, I have to prove, I have to become. I am that now. So the energy's different. Rather than chasing outwardly, I'm outputting, right? There's a generative effect internally, and everything creative comes from that relaxed state. I don't need anything else. Can you hear me? You're not going deaf in your old age, are you, Joe? Pulling a face out, you can hear me. Good. So no, but there's definitely this sense now. Like, I can't be bothered to put in a lot of effort. I know I'm very intelligent. I know I'm very capable. I know I'm connected. I don't have to prove that to anyone anymore, and I'm not making action from the same place anymore either. It's really weird at the minute. It feels weird and different. Like, before I'd get up and I'd have like, this is my day. These are the expectations that are on me. And now I have this day where it happens ahead of me and everything's going slowly, and I just respond to what arrives. So there's no chasing state. Does that make sense? Like, there's no chasing state, and there's no memory either. Like, I've been talking about that all day to myself. Like, memory wipes. I don't have a past behind me, and I make decisions from no attachment. Like, there's no charge. I have like I've got to talk to you about this. Like, the letting go of things. Like, people are not understanding me, Joe, at all at the minute, because like I've just cut people off that I've been connected with for like 20 odd years, and I'm like, sorry, no thanks, bye. And I've been very direct with them. And they think it's coming from a really disordered state and I'm mentally unwell because I don't want to chat to them anymore. And it's like, no, in order for your algorithm to move, you have to go right? And you have to cut and move on. Like, you can't move on and your next level doesn't come in until you've released stuff. Like, and as soon as I see something in somebody that's of the old or is working against where I am internally, personally, I can't keep it. I can't even make eye contact with them anymore. I'm really brutal. I'd just be like, right, you don't exist, right? I'm going to vibrate out into whatever I'm in next. And it feels really weird. I feel like I'm in a completely different place now. And it's amazing and it's really good, but it's very slow. And it took a wee while to get adjusted, but I'm not feeling like afraid of anything. I don't feel pressure to do anything, which is brand new for me.
Well,
Why are you pumping?
I'd say that's absolutely marvelous, really.
It is, yeah.
I think sometimes as you get a bit further, the the cutting off people becomes softer, really. Because people like ourselves who've been born emotionally sensitive and reactive,
Yeah,
sometimes cutting off people can seem brusque and
it does,
very,
yeah.
yeah, and this is my personal lived experiences. People thought I was rude when it wasn't rude, it was afraid. It was a protective mechanism, really. So I think there's a softening over time where you
Mm,
just sort of, right, shrug your shoulders and say it's awfully nice to see you, and then just let nature take its course then. And the people who
yeah.
we've, because it's all about us. Essentially, it's always, always all about us, whether it be an ego self with a little s, or when we're moving into the higher self or the spiritual self with the big S, right? It's all still about us,
Hmm.
right? And I personally think, and I've been watching you and I've been watching other people, and people are starting to say no more often now because emotional sensitivity brings with it a gross people pleaser. What we're afraid. And this is about instincts. There's three primary instincts, or the 3D instincts. There's the first instinct, which is the most powerful, and that's the instinct for personal security. And that's all about shelter, food, heat, all those place to live and all that. So that's the primary instinct, which is associated with the adrenal glands. So that's where adrenaline comes from, and it's the most powerful fight and flight thing when we perceive a threat. I've got no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to go with this.
I know what
So,
you mean.
so the next one. So this one is if you can stand on your own 2 feet, right? And if you can actually stand up for yourself, so we use the leg thing. If you can stand up for yourself, or you can back off when the situation arises and it's correct, then you're
Mm,
not limited in that department. Do you see what I mean? You don't have to try anything and stuff. Then, when you get to that one, you move up to the next level one, which is really battered at the moment, the sacral chakra, which is
right.
associated with not just sex and procreation, it's associated with intimacy as well. Right.
Mm,
And there's loads of issues coming up now with people and intimacy, right? And touch and getting close to people, right? Because that takes a lot of, why are you smiling? Right.
I just
But
knew
it
it was
makes
on the
sense.
curriculum is all. I was aware that this was a thing.
Yeah.
But like I'm
So
not surprised yet.
yeah, so intimacy, right, to do with that, and the hormone that's associated with that is oxytocin. It's the
Mm,
bonding hormone and the intimacy hormone. And lots
mm,
of people find it difficult. They can have physical sex, but there's no intimacy that goes with it. Now, the idea would be is with the sex thing, when the feeling comes up, you can either go for it and be happy or back off and say no. If you can't say yes and you can't say no, it's in control of you and you're not in control of it. Okay, so there's the two. But here's the tricky one now. It's the instinct for society. We all want to be important in society. We all want a place in society, right? But if you're still afraid, you'll either try to become the boss and rule the world, or you'll become the one that hides under the carpet and and this is where a lot of social anxiety comes in, really. And the social anxiety comes in where you go into a crowd, you don't know what to say, you can't converse with anybody. And the idea is if your friends say, come out tonight, and you can't say, no, I'd prefer to stay in, actually, then you're actually, the herd instinct. You're actually limited by that then. So what I'm trying to get to, and I didn't know I was going to say this, is when those three instincts are balanced and they're not having a go at each other, right? There's no emotional disturbance, there's just flow. And that's about the most perfect level that a human being can get to, right? However, in any situation, in any event, whether you be in a place or you're meeting a person, whatever, there'll always be initially a sort of interreaction between those three instincts, right? The fourth phase is the heart, and the heart is like the master regulator if you allow it to work properly. And if you've got an open heart and you're in a neutral space, there's no fear, and you can really choose what you want to do at depth. Does this make sense? I don't know why I'm talking about this.
no, it does, yeah, because it's all that I've been going through this week. It's been all about social. It's literally it. You've literally just radioed in, which is why I laughed. Because like everything this week has been about me connecting with people, like, and it's in on micro and macro scale as well, like decisions I'm making as well on top. But I'm being put through circumstances, not put through. I'm actively radiating towards people and doing things I wouldn't normally and connecting normally. I can chat about the weather now, no bother. Never used to be able to do that. Like. I can do the weather chat and like
Yeah.
approaching people and wanting to make friends. I'm in a very, very, very sociable state, and I'm just balancing out what that means for me. And I'm also like over the last couple of months had an experience, and for anyone who's watching, just to make this very clear, like Joe and I are speaking to a degree on the body-mind connection and how that when you are working consciously to reconnect your mind, your heart, your body, your soul, your spirit, the functions inside of you internally, particularly this invisible structure of information, this like subtle intelligence, starts to work in your favor rather than against you like it did previously. Where like I'd have urges or instances or feelings and I would write against them. The mind would say nope and do something different to what the body was saying, whereas now the body's speaking clearly and coherently. So like now I'm seeing and noticing when I'm speaking to people whether or not I'm comfortable and actively choosing from that place. And then when I feel like I'm out of sync or something's not right, or there's even a wee sense of outrage, I trust it and I immediately speak to an action or move to an action based on what that invisible intelligence is telling me. And it's very subtle and it radiates out of a comfort, a self-comfort. And I come out of a self-comfort quickly, right? But I can get back there quickly now too, like which wasn't always possible for me. So like where you're speaking about these different layers and levels, I understand it. I'm not always in the heart. I come out of the heart sometimes and I oscillate between them depending on the level of challenge because I am doing new things at the moment. Like,
Perfect.
but it's still working. It's still working.
We don't get rid of emotional discomfort because that's associated with the next lesson that we've attracted to ourselves. See, I
Yeah.
believe wholeheartedly is when you have a spiritual awakening, the soul
Yeah.
starts to come in then and says, right,
Yeah.
you've tried your best, you've had every thought you can, you've tried every method to try and get comfortable, and
Yeah.
still yet you're uncomfortable in yourself. Right.
Yeah.
So just get out of the way for the moment, ego, with all your ideas and emotions and attitudes. Let's just put those aside. And tomorrow we're going to start with a blank sheet. But this time you're going to start listening to your deep heart,
Yeah.
not your head. Right. And so what happens then is it's almost like the soul will attract to it a situation that is similar to something that's happened in the past, whether it be your personal past or your ancestral past. Right. Because the DNA is basically encrypted behavior from the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
past. So it
Yeah.
can come from eons of time. It can even go back millions of years, right? But if the soul decides, right, it goes in and it picks a timeline. It says, okay, I'll bring it up here now for her to act upon it in order to correct what went on a million years ago. I know this sounds a bit like daft, but the point is, you allow the soul then to manage the people, the places, the things, the situations in which you need to take an action or see something clearly, which then
Yeah.
neutralizes karma, which then releases the energy that's been blocked in that repressive self. Right, here we go again. It's just all coming out now. So, and then when you take the action, because it's almost like every time that happens, I do this. Well, the idea will be we'll do something fucking different then, right? But then the fear comes in to say, oh no, but what you see, and we get trapped in that one. Now that will bring with it an emotional disturbance or a perception of threat. That's the clue. Hang on, I feel afraid here. Step back, ask your heart, dear heart or soul, what are you trying to show me? And it could be as simple as you said yes there when deep down you wanted to say no. And then you can say to your heart, well, what do I have to do? And it says, you already know what you have to do. You have to go back and say, look, I've made a mistake. I said yes, but in truth, I mean no. So I'm going to have to say no. Now, their reaction is no problem. It's you taking the action that will release the energy that then gives you more vitality, more courage, but it also expands your consciousness as well. And here's something I'll just say this bit now. As your consciousness expands, right?
Yeah.
So you get greater mind, your conscientiousness also increases as well.
I love that last line, conscientiousness also increases. Can I put that a simpler way? I feel softer around people now. Like this, we seem to be talking about something so simple, but it's immensely complicated for someone like me. I'd sort of forced myself into a reality where I was extremely isolated, and that was conscious choice on my part and unconscious programming that put me in that state. And haven't done as much transforming as I have lately. I don't have a word for this. How do I even say it? Like, I'm now in that place where being around people is has possibility and safety and comfort, and I want that, and it's natural to me. It feels natural, and there's like an emergent sense of this being safe. And I didn't have that before. It didn't feel safe ever, right? So I kept attracting unsafe circumstances until I corrected that. The weird thing that's going on right now is that I'm making choices that are loving for me and compassionate for me. And I'm not keeping myself in isolation for unhealthy reasons. I believe a lot of us, like myself, because for anyone who's not aware, I am AuDHD, but I was undiagnosed for a long time. I had complex trauma, would have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder if they've gotten away with doing that as many times as I tried to swerve it, right? And a bunch of other things. I've been through a bunch of things. And as a consequence, I had this like very distorted sense of self, right? A very far removed perception of who I was and how my energy was. I believed myself to be unlovable and unworthy and unlikable and wrong and broken. And I made all my choices from this striving state, trying to remove myself from those lies, trying to be more than what had been imprinted within me. And it's my responsibility to undo all that. But those distorted perceptions, they can sometimes push us in directions in our lives unconsciously that we didn't know we were going in. And I'm sort of in that phase right now where I'm learning to sort of embody who I am. And it's my soul self. And the soul is the essential innocence. It's also an intelligence that's unique. And I didn't get this before. But when you come here to live and to explore, and we all have our curriculum and we all have our purposes here, you have to actively action and move from your soul self, not from the things people have said about you. And if you don't, then you miss out on stuff. Things move on ahead of you. Like we don't get handled like children where like say my son does something he shouldn't and he gets a purple dot one day for some he gives purple dots if he does something he shouldn't do, right. And he gets gold stars if he's playing the game of life correctly. So we have these rules for the game of life, etc. Like if you get a purple dot one day, it's not like your life sits there waiting for you to get your gold star. You have to engage with it. And you have to say, no matter what is coming at you, I don't know why else is coming out, whatever anyone is showing you or whatever you've been shown about yourself, you have to see it for what it is. It can't be personalized or you keep it. If you personalize what has happened, if you do not see your essential human self as innocent, if you do not recognize yourself from the soul you are, and instead are attached to the external parameters and the audience presumed to be watching it, you never evolve. And there are karmic reasons for this, right? There are karmic consequences for this, right? And one of those at the minute is me moving out of isolation because I'm not here just as a mother. I am here as a creator, as a friend, as a woman. I have desires and strengths and talents and needs, and I have an innate sociability. I love people, and I've allowed myself to live a life that's entirely the opposite of who I am because of fear,
Yeah.
because I was so afraid of being seen as this broken person, and because I let the things that I had been defined by and gone through shame me. Like I realized this recently and it was very visceral. There was something I was wrestling with that made me so uncomfortable, right? And it was part of kind of I'm going on and on. I sound like Boggy. Sorry, Boggy. You know when Boggy goes on and on, he gets on one. I'm on one, I'll come off in a minute, right? But there's one big thing, right? There's one big thing. Just had a pop at him for no reason. I haven't seen him in ages. He deserves it. He's not talking to me. How dare he? Right? Um for women especially, there's a big thing about not being desirable, wanted, loved, or chosen, right? That was a big, big wound for me, and it's been held against me on another level at the minute, and I got used to recognizing this. But my body, once this thought would come into my head, and it would repeat often, an intrusive thought, shall we say, coming from somewhere, right? And it came in recently, and I learned how to undo it. And I was like, oh, and now I'm suddenly really sociable. Where it was like, well, how about I just accept this? How about I accept that I am not the most desired, wonderful, perfect, beautiful woman in all the world? How about I accept that I am flawed? I haven't weighed myself in over a year. I used to have a major like weight issue. Um, what if I accept that I am a bit awkward looking and I've got funny teeth and like one of my ears is smaller than the other and I have a third earlobe and I'm a mouth breather? What if I accept all these things, right? My nervous system straight away went, right?
Yeah.
And the body stopped unconsciously rallying against this harm, this pattern of thought. And I now, with ease and neutrality, am relatively indifferent to my physical appearance. I'm in a place now where that no longer controls me, and I feel like it's a program of control that's been impregnated in a lot of women from very early age. You know, the design around who we are has been to play roles for men,
Yeah.
right? And our essential essence, our energy was siphoned from that, like because we weren't able to embody all of what we are. And I feel that embodiment very deeply at the minute. And it's because of consciously choosing to correct those thoughts. And where I am fighting with them, it's because there's an element of truth inside of this. It's like you have to accept yourself.
It's the
Can't move
key.
on. Otherwise, the algorithm of your life will just freeze. You'll just buffer doing the same stuff. I see some people buffering around me right now. They're just going round and round and round in circles doing the same flipping thing. And it's like, would you ever just, whatever it is that's harassing you, can you just go in and accept whatever that is that you don't like about yourself so you stop going around in circles like a headless chicken? And there's so many doing it.
What if, what if you can see clearly what needs to change,
Hmm.
but you haven't got the power to change? What do you do then? When you can't drum up sufficient power to change that habit, what do you do then? I'll give you a clue. I knew that I needed to stop drinking. I knew that I needed, right, otherwise I'd lose my job, lose my wife, lose my kids, lose me, and all those things happened to me. And the people around me used to say, Joe, you've got such willpower. You must want to carry on to doing this, right? And I couldn't understand and explain to them. I know what I need to do, and I swear to you, I will never, ever, ever drink again because I don't want to lose these things. And Shanine, I couldn't stop doing it. What's the problem there? And the problem there is fear. Fear is an evil and corroding thread. The fabric of our existence is shot through with it. That means our DNA is shot through with fear programming because of our emotional sensitivity. The only way to get over that is to, first of all, clear the channels by getting shut of everything that's played on your mind. And you almost have to get to a place, they call it God, which is the gift of desperation. It's almost like you have to get to a rock bottom where you've
Mhm.
thought every thunking thought that you could possibly have
Yeah.
until you come to the point that you say, I give up, I surrender. Right.
Mhm.
And that's what happened to me. I had to get to that point. And what happened then is it's almost like a different power came in, not from me head, because I've got a hell of a willpower, like you have, like lots of
Yeah.
us have, right?
Yeah.
You know, all that one. If you put your
Nice.
mind to it, you can change it and you can materialize this, that, and the other. No, bollocks, right? The idea is, I think that the whole of humanity now is being forced to a rock bottom where they
Mhm.
realize that the old paradigm way of thinking has
Mhm.
got to be let go of.
Yeah.
So it's not about getting hold of anything more. It's about
Mhm.
letting go of everything. And then
Mhm.
what happens, in my way of saying it, is the power from the heart comes up then. It provides you then with the vitality and the courage and the strength to take the actions that you couldn't do before. And part of that's called spiritual growth is directly related to growing up emotionally as well. And guess what? It's the hanging on to these things that causes the pain. It's the letting go that gives you the energy, you know. And this is a hard thing because I used to kneel down to my wife and I'd say to you, I swear to you, I swear to you, I'm not going to drink again. And I really, really meant it. And that night I'd be as pissed as a fart, either getting locked up or causing trouble or screaming and shouting and stuff like that. I don't know why that's all come out, but just to say
I,
to people, let go of who you used to be. Let go. I've got a thing. I get these things, inspirations that come in, and it's about knowing yourself, right?
yeah.
Forget about what everybody else is doing out there. Turn your vision inwards and start saying, who the fuck am I really? What am I
Yeah.
here for? What's the purpose of my life? And you might find it's exactly the opposite of what everybody else told you. Over to
There
you,
are
quick.
there are consequences for not accepting who we are at depth. There are consequences for being handed divine intelligence and rejecting it.
Yeah,
I used to be very easily emotionally manipulated, Joe, and with a lot of things like addiction and compulsive behavior, right? It served me to be emotionally manipulated because then I was needed. It made me feel chosen and necessary and valuable because I didn't think, and we talked about this already, I didn't think that me just being in my essence, I thought I was ugly. I thought I was like unlovable. I thought I was embarrassing. I thought I was annoying. And that there was nothing about me that made me worth being around unless I was useful. So it served me to keep people in helpless states, and it served me to be pitying and condescending, strong, powerful, very much intelligent people with my sympathy. And I don't do that anymore. I don't have the energy for that. I have to let go of people who do not choose growth because you hold me back. If you do not remember yourself, you deny me also. We keep ourselves in roles
We
that
do.
we do not want to be in if we will not accept at depth the strength and power and beauty and intelligence of who we are at our very core. If we continue to disrespect that intelligence, then everything that comes to us is as a consequence of that. And unfortunately, losing people is part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's part of the thing is to recognize the bonds, starting with yourself and then moving out to family. And we have to let go of what the family's ideas of how we should behave. We have to let go of that as well. And that's hard. I had to say to my mum and dad when I was getting better, I had to say, look, for the moment, right, I've got a blank slate here. It's not that I'm not going to listen to what you're saying because I'll listen to everything, but I might be taking actions here that are against your principles. Jim, Jim, he's picking on us, so I had that argument with me mum and dad, right? And I had to say to my mother, hang on a second, right? I'm getting better here, right? Well, the big one was, my dad said to me, how's it happening, son? You look fantastic. How are you feeling? I said, Dad, I feel fantastic. He said, what's one thing that's helping you? I said, meditation. He went, oh, he said, you're not allowed to meditate in our religion. I said,
Quite
Dad,
wrong.
that's your religion. It's not my religion. Right. And we had a bloody big argument about it. And then my mother said something. I said to my mother, just hang on a second and let me get this out. My dad jumped up and he said, don't talk to your mother like that. And then this came out, sit down, shut up, and listen to what I've got to say and wait till I've finished until you speak. That just came out of me gob. Right, right. The energy in the room changed. And I said, I'm going now. I said, I'm sorry if that's come across like that, but I needed to get this off my chest. And Shanine, I remember, got the picture in my mind is clear. I went to their door of their where they lived. I opened the door and it went and it left me. And that's the first time I was able to stand on my own 2 feet and almost like contradict what my mother and father thought I should be doing. Right. That was the start of it. And then I've had to go through the same thing because my brothers and sisters, they have different ideas on how we should live. Right.
Mhm.
So in the end now, I choose by the way I feel in the heart. And my one
Yes.
principle is before I make a choice, is it healthy or is it harmful? Is it
Mhm.
going to clearly hurt somebody else? Because if it is, it's not the right choice, right? It's the way you deliver it, right? But it says, above all, do no harm. Let me just qualify this. It's
Okay.
not about hurting their egos, because sometimes what you say hurts their ego. It's
Mhm.
when it hurts their spiritual self. That's against the law, in my
Yeah.
view. Go on, you
Oh,
were
I
going to say
agree.
something.
No, I completely agree. The law of one is very much a thing, but then the law of one also means that we play no rules for each other and no one owns anyone else.
Exactly. Exactly. So
And
we're personally and utterly 100% responsible for the actions that we take and the
mhm,
reactions or consequences that come from that. When you really know that you're completely and utterly 100% responsible for all
yeah.
the energetics that go on, then you're
hmm
free. You're free.
Yes, you are. And for someone like me, just to look at this from a different angle, Joe, for someone like me who is overly responsible, right? And overly concerned with what other people would think of my choices for the majority of my life. It has been very, very important for me to choose and honor and respect now my own needs and the life that I want to create with. We come here with a creator's energy within us, and it is heart-led and it is and innocent and it is pure, and no one else can stop us sharing that. No one can stop us from moving on in our lives if we choose to. If someone chooses growth and the other doesn't, we have to move on.
Absolutely.
And our freedom for both is dependent on that. And the letting go is dependent on that. And the karmic releases are dependent on that. So where we're saying we're fully responsible for the choices that we make and we can't hurt another person spiritually, I had to learn that sometimes I have to hurt other people in order to save myself. Because the only
But can I
person
just
I
ask
can,
you one thing, sorry to butt in, but
yeah,
was that hurting them, their egos, right?
yeah.
Was it hurting their ego or was it hurting them spiritually? See, there is a difference between those two things.
Yeah, the ego.
Yeah.
I
So that's
used
fine.
I used to not want to hurt anyone ever. And
Yeah,
that kept me trapped, sort of being everybody's pet.
absolutely.
And I'm a boss bitch. I'm nobody's pet,
Yeah.
right? And I wasted a lot of my time in life sort of doing things. Just like I was just, this is something I learned. This came in earlier today too, so I feel like I need to tell it. I was in this thing where it was my job. I could see what people were doing. People would be coming at me doing stupid stuff, right? And I mean proper tomfoolery, like you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I would be in there with my full arm trying to drag them out of the hole they were in. I'd be like, right, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna grab you, I'm gonna drag you out like a dying cat, right? And what do? Push me in the hole,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what people do when they're in a hole, right? And the only way you get yourself out is by getting yourself out. And unfortunately, the only time people start digging is when the consequences get dire. And sometimes we have to be consequences.
I agree.
Do you know what I
Of course, of course. And that's, isn't it?
mean?
We've talked about this before. Before we even came here,
Mhm.
we form a soul ego contract. The ego bit or the curriculum, it's the curriculum. They're the
Mhm.
obstructions and the challenges that we set ourselves before we come here, right?
Mhm.
And we zoom in. So I am the soul, but I've got this cover that's called the ego, and the ego in this case is the mind body of Joseph Peter Delaney, right? Right. This is the thing because it's that it's this thing that does the feeling and does the actions that relay the information back to the soul, right? And how do you know that you've taken the right action? By the way you feel energetically. That to me is the only thing. F off. Focus
Mhm.
on feelings first. I keep my head out of it. If I don't know what to do, I don't try and work my head out. I go into
Mhm.
my heart and I'll say, what's the best way? And it's almost like I get like a whole carousel of possibilities and I go through each one. And the one that goes is the one that I
Yeah.
choose. That's how I live my
Yeah.
life. And as I've said to you before, people say to me, what do you think I should do? I said, don't try and put that one on me. You already know what you need to do. You just need to practice the technique. Right.
Mhm.
So, because if I tell you what to do and it doesn't work, you'll blame me. Right. You'll blame me. So I'm saying, go and sit down, open your heart. They go, well, what the fuck do you mean, open your heart? I say, okay, then come back if you get stuck and I'll tell you what to do again. And the answer will be, you've already got the solution within you. Go in there and find out. And they don't want to, Shireen. I'm going to ask you a question now. Tell me about the body mind connection and Sincerity School and AuDHD, please. Only if you
Eh,
want to.
I'd love to. The body mind connection AuDHD is a learning and child development theory that was birthed from Sincerity School as a vision. So Sincerity School is a CIC currently, and it's the intention to open AuDHD specialist schools internationally. By using the body mind connection AuDHD as a theory, we've designed a school design, myself and a group of others, and we're still building the curriculum. And we are planning to transfer this globally around the world and share it around the world via a charity trust. We're at the very beginning at the moment of this process, but the learning theory is there and the vision is there and the people are coming in, and it's all very exciting. It's necessary and vital because what we're doing is very much about reconnecting the mind and the body, like we've just spoken about in this conversation, and about the human evolution and its potentials that are made evident and apparent when you start to work with body mind connection with young children, especially. Um, this is something that can be applied to anyone at any age, right? And the principles are unanimous. Like they apply to everyone and they are useful to everyone and they work with organic reality and the organic body structure and reconnecting all of us to a greater state of self that is not dependent upon like the things we spoke about earlier, propelling ourselves forward, chasing anything, efforting. We are not constructing a self through an education. It is emerging out of us. And the tagline for Sincerity Skills, learning naturally from within oneself. And a lot of what Joe and I have reflected on over the years, and especially over the last year, has been that experience of learning naturally from within oneself as this true nature that exists within us starts reverberating outward. It has multi-dimensional effects, right? So it's not just about the body and the mind, there's more to it, and it directly affects reality. And we evolve in our consciousness, we evolve in our health, we evolve in our clarity, and we access a wholeness and a sense of home inside that many of us probably have never experienced. And there's a need for these schools with AuDHD specifically because it is a singular neurotype. It's a neurotype all on its own. I don't like that they've split it um, in a medical perspective, is something that can be transformed. It has its gifts, and over time allows people to access gifts such as the 10th intelligence, which is a new form of intelligence that merges all of the nine intelligence Howard Gardner's, and as well as that, something called metacognitive attunement, whereby you receive information in the moment and apply an intellect or an intelligence or skills that go beyond your previous experience. So it's like you automatically become more, and it's this automatic moreness that you are offering children and their futures by educating them in this way. And it is education and healthcare that is inspired by and influenced by and integrates Joe's pioneering tri-sync method, right? With the three elements, it's education, healthcare, and what else?
No idea. Can't remember at
Right.
the minute.
But it's
Truth,
all of
truth, probably.
yeah, it's all of those things together. So it's like self-actualization and health and well-being put at the forefront of education, and seeing academics and intelligence as something that is secondary to that and actually births out of it, not something that we can necessarily control or force upon an individual. So I said a bunch of stuff there. I don't know whether I got it all out. What
Bloody
do you think of it?
fantastic. I mean, when I listen to you and when you do these things, it
Yeah.
makes me feel
Yeah.
proud. It makes me feel proud. I've recently, though, expanded the multiple intelligence model to
Right.
multimodal. So each one of them's got a different skill. It's got a different
Yeah.
frequency. It's coming from a different sphere of consciousness as well, or an aspect of whole mind, full big mind. Okay. So the 12 intelligences now, right, relate to the 12 cranial nerves. The 12 cranial nerves then link to the 12 meridians, right? So we've moved now from the nervous system, which is okay. Medicine can do nerves. It can actually chop a body up and pull a nerve out. But as for the meridians, right, they won't have that because they can't actually dissect it and whatever. However, the meridians are to do with emotion, to do with energy. There's also aspects of quantum consciousness here. And when people say to me, you're saying big words now, when I explain it, I'll say, what's your body made of? And people can do atoms. What's atoms made on? They say protons, neutrons, and electrons. I'll say, what are the protons, neutrons, and electrons made of? And then they stop there, most people. But they must be made of something, quarks. I call them quirks because, they have. But quarks, then, what are the quarks made out of? So there's actually in this human dimension 12 dimensions of consciousness that each have a different refined energy. And as it materializes, it densifies until it becomes us down here. Right. So there's many, many, many things going on. The ancient Hebrews used to call this world we live in the 1% world because there's 99% of other stuff going on in completely different dimensions. These dimensions, right, are also associated with time epochs as well. So they're timelines as well. Shanine, we're only just scratching the surface here, but
I
in the
love all
end,
this so
but
much.
But in the end, how do we know that we've taken the right action? By the way that you're feeling yourself. And I say to people now, how you feeling? They go, oh, I'm all right. I'm fine, fine, which means fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and exhausted. You know what I mean? So fine. But if you're feeling open and flowing and you're okay with yourself and you feel comfortable in your own skin, then that's great. But when the disturbance comes in, if you know that the disturbance is something else that you've got to learn about yourself, then you almost start welcoming disturbances because you know that you've got the gifts and the abilities and the courage and the strength to overcome it, right? And when you overcome it, you feel great. You get a plateau. You feel more courageous until the next lesson comes in. So we can't do away with emotional disturbance. My problem was I couldn't stand feeling emotionally disturbed. So I'd blame you for doing it to me, right? Or I'd go and try and anesthetize it with drink or drugs or whatever, right? And then when the drink and drugs went down, the situation came back again. And that's because every single day is a
Mm.
learning day, right? And so that's where I'm up to now. And as you know, I'm working with an ex-Harvard professor, Professor Bill Spady. He's 85 years of age, right? We've just had, and we've had also you, I, and Bev Williams. We've had an abstract peer reviewed for Edge Hill University, and so I'll be presenting that in June. But me and Bill have had one done as well, right? About
Yeah.
changing the medical institution and medical education across the planet, right? Shanine, I supervise at the moment 40 consultant physicians, right?
Wow.
Most of them want to get out because they don't want to be doctors. They never wanted to be doctors because their mother and father thought it would be a good idea, right? Because they were driven by get a position of power, get something you can tell people you're a doctor, you'll make a good few bob, you'll have loads of money and you'll be happy. And guess what? A lot of them aren't. They want to come out of it because they're realizing now. I mean, there's people in there who'd be better off baking cakes and they'd be a lot happier, right? So that's how it works. As soon as we pop out, we're almost like preyed upon, right, by the outside world. Is forget what you want to be, right? This is what you'll become. I've gone on a lot there,
No, you
but
haven't. You
but
haven't.
people are waking up so much now to say, fuck this for a lark. That's a technical expression now. Fuck this for a lark means up you. I'm gonna start working from who I am now, not what you lot have told me to be. And I know I took it on board, but I've decided now I'm gonna let all that go and I'm gonna start with a blank slate and I'm gonna feel my way through life. Over to you, Shanine.
Power gains are karmic loops.
Yeah,
And the things that we are designed to chase are dead things: money, status, power, and a quotient of there's another one, sex,
yeah,
right? All those things are energy draining and taking, and karmically they're deceptive because they are creating power games and loops. If there's anything in our reality that is playing inferiority and superiority games with us, is siphoning our energy, right? And we may be in relationships and connections that are actively causing us to take on the karma of other people.
absolutely.
And we are staying in their timeline and in their karma because they are dumping all of their stuff onto us. And as long as we remain enslaved to that and we do not absolutement completely cut it, right? We will continue to play these power games out. But it's because of a belief that power exists externally. Until we have dropped out of the my existence is dependent on what other people think of me and how I relate to those other people, until we have actively connected with our soul self. And no one at this point in the game should have any excuse as to why they do not have access to their soul self, because a lot went into making sure that people knew who their soul was. An awful lot of homework was done. Now, if indeed they have forgotten this, where all of the universes exist and every dimension can be accessed from the internal self, that's the wealth. That's the wealth. Until we start prioritizing that, and it speaks from the heart's core, our energy will be wasted playing the power games. And we think some are being arrogant and sitting on their bottoms, and some aren't, but I'm just going to assume, and I might be wrong, right? There is an arrogance and an ignorance that comes with power games, right? Where people think it is noble to be a victim. No, it's not,
No.
right? It's not noble to be a victim. It is not noble to stay in a state of entrapment when you are a god internally, right? Or goddess, or whatever. I just like that word, right? I like things to be all ancient and mystical, so that's the word I'm using for today. Now, then if you do not honor the energy within you and the soul within you, you don't pick that up next week or next month. It's not just sitting there like on your to-do list. You could start up on a loop of karma for the next 10 to 15 years, potentially 10 or 15 lifetimes, because you have denied yourself. How you treat yourself is also part of your karma, and especially if your soul is of great and immense value, you'll be replaced. The things we think that are owed to us in our ignorance and our arrogance for playing victim games, for enslaving ourselves, for pretending to be less than, will be taken from us because it's a neutral game. It's not personal. It's like there's an agenda here and it's far beyond the inorganic reality that we've lived in. And you either hop on the train, right? Or you stay on your arse, right? And you miss out on everything that you wanted, right? We don't get given divine intelligence. We don't get given huge, enormous, immense souls with so much knowledge and ability and creativity for nothing. And there is nothing noble about playing a silly game of, well, I'm worthless and I will only do what's right based on what other people are telling me. Oh, well, I've already messed up, so I'm going to, in a noble way, do this tiny, stupid job and think this tiny, stupid job is enough. No, it's not. You were given everything you need, right? And I'm in this game now where I don't tell people off anymore. So that's going to be the last time I ever do that in a public setting, right? Because I'm all sweetness and light these days and I have nothing to worry about. But just to say, right? Just to say, just briefly to summarize, right? Because got a bit heated there, right? Everybody has their role to play, and sometimes we are the role for other people.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
because we are being a scaredy cat, right? And a cowardly lion on the Wizard of Oz journey to nowhere, right? If we do not find our roar, right? And start listening to that sacred no within and start honoring the soul we are and not what everybody else is telling us we are, because that's all lies anyway, right? That's the only thing that's keeping us trapped. If we do not act from that, then we accumulate more karma and we lose things. We will be replaced.
True.
If I had done that, where would I be? I had plenty of reason over the last number of years to go, do you know what? I'm going to give up. I can't be bothered. I will take on all of other people's projections upon me. I will take all of that. I will also completely buy into all the BS that was said about me throughout the whole of my life. I will completely forget my own innocence. No bother. I will die. I'll just die and give up, right? Could have done it. Did I? No. Now look at me. I'm gorgeous and I'm glowing and I'm absolutely fine, right? No one has any excuse. None whatsoever, right? And this is where it gets fun because when you honor yourself and you realize, oh my God, I am a soul. I'm a soul and this is an energetic realm. And I have all this power and I've been given everything I need and I have a direct line for everything that I need. What more is required of you? Nothing apart from movement and listening to self. It's not difficult. It's really simple once you get down to it. Like, it shouldn't have to be explained 1,000 times. But some people need to hear it 1,000 times. I don't know why. Over you.
Passion. That's passion
Is it? No, I don't think so. I think I'm just bored.
and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. So,
I
what are
love
you?
this topic though. Like, to be fair, I do. I
I
love
know,
this.
I know, because that a spiritual awakening, people think when they have a spiritual awakening that that's the end of the game. That's just the start of the game when you're rubbing the sleep out of your eyes. Right. There's only two things, in my view, that block progress.
Right.
One's easy to understand, and that's called fear.
Hmm.
And if you're pretending not to be afraid when you're afraid deep down, that's a problem, right? So
Yeah.
if you can accept, yes, this is me. I'm pretending to be brave when I'm really fucking terrified deep down. Okay. And that's a little frightened child who wants to hide away from stuff. Okay. This is called transactional analysis. The other thing that's even more subtle is pride. I don't have to do this because I already know. See, that's a big block, that one. So how do you get over fear? Well, you take small steps to go forward. You feel the fear and you take the steps, and that will dissolve that side of it. So that's almost like the gut. But the head, tricky devil, tricky devil. That will tell you and it will justify why you don't have to take these actions. Right. Pride's a bloody killer and it always comes before a fall. What's the opposite of pride? Is humility. And if you think you're humble, you're not fucking humble, right? Because it's not a thought. So that's that thing that you said about victim consciousness. That pretends to be sensitive. It pretends to care. It puts the face of humility on, but it's not humility. It's like Uriah Heep. And you can smell it a mile off. You know, you got a chip on your shoulder and your back goes up like that with a hump, right? Humility means I don't know. I'm not quite sure about this, right? Because people used to say to me, Shane, what about this? And I would say, I know, I know, I know, I know. And my sponsor said to me, it's clear to me, Joe, that you've just tried to kill yourself 2 times, really seriously. It's
Mhm.
obvious to me that you don't fucking know what you're talking about. And that's what I needed, somebody like him to put me in my place, right? And here's the next thing is a solitary self-appraisal seldom suffices.
Yeah.
That means trying to work it out with yourself and just with God, right? You'll always come up with solutions that suit you, whether to keep you reclusive or to get out there, being the star of the show. Sometimes you need somebody who's been through the process, who couldn't give a shit about your personality, but loves you and wants to tell you the truth and just to show you. That's what we need, and that's why we need each other, right? And when you go along to somebody and say, look, this is what I feel, what do you think? Then they don't try and soften it. They just talk facts. They're not being horrible. They're
Yeah.
just saying, this is what I see. And if it hits you in the gut, guess what? That's the truth. And that's what you needed to see.
I get very caught up with the FU energy.
Yeah.
I get very caught up by when I feel vulnerability these days because it's taken me so much to get to a space of confidence and safety. And I'm unwilling to give that up for anything. I find it very, very difficult to be vulnerable at the moment. I'm not in a space where I can be um open or as fluid as I have been, or as I don't want to say forgiven because I do forgive all things. Like I don't have like there's not I don't feel trespassed against. I understand a higher design behind most things that have happened in my reality. But I will not prostrate myself for anyone else anymore. I'm not in a
No,
place where I can do that. And I equally can't have my life put on hold anymore either. That was a conscious choice on my part, and I'm not doing that.
but can I suggest something? It's only suggestion, of course.
Yeah.
Can I suggest if you put any more rules and regulations in, you're limiting yourself again. So if you just work in the day and you don't really have set any conditions and you
Yeah.
live in this unconditionalness, you don't know what's coming up because your soul's managing your life for you, right? And the
Mhm.
situation, right? So really, you said before, I don't even think about the past now. I'm just living in this sort of eternal moment. Well, every
I
time
have,
a bullet
yeah.
comes in that needs to be dealt with, that will cause the disturbance. So what I would say to you is stay open and vulnerable because that's only you and your fear that's putting up the bridge, the defenses again. Right. So I'm saying we have to trust. No, no, just let me do this. We have to trust that the soul won't put us into a situation that we can't handle without its help.
No,
Go on.
I've really, yeah, I just,
No, no, I see what you're saying, and I agree, and maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's some sort of
no,
in
I get where you're
between.
coming from. I know it's a necessity in order to move through things. I have to, like, I understand, I can translate what's been said here on a higher level. Like, I need to move through stuff and I need to feel things in order to get to where I know I'm headed. But by the same token, there's a part of me that just doesn't have the same level of space for things that I did in the past. And I don't know whether that's a lack of vulnerability or whether that's growth on my part. I haven't quite worked that out yet.
Or maybe it's timing. Maybe it's just simply timing.
Yeah.
Janine, there's times when I don't want to get on the phone and talk to people.
Hmm.
Right, I don't want to do it. I've got to ring up and I've got to complain about something. Right, there's a part of me that still doesn't want to do that. If it feels really too difficult, guess what? I can park it, right, until it comes up again. And maybe on the next occasion, I'll have a bit more vitality and it will be no problem. And then I'll think to myself, fucking hell, I could have done that a week ago and got shut of it. So it's okay to be okay. I mean, if I really don't feel like doing something, I don't have to force myself to do it. I just have to be honest, is not today.
Yeah.
Now, if it's important in the great scheme of things and the timing's important to spirit and to soul, right,
Mhm.
I'll get help to keep going forward on it. Right. So it's about knowing really your internal operating system. And is this something that needs to be done? And I'll say, thy will, not mine, be done. And sometimes I get a bit of an oomph of a bit more vitality and I think, oh, fuck, I've got to do it. And then I'll be able to get through it then. But I mean, I'm still learning myself, and I only ever, and people say, oh no, you're not just scratching the surface. Yes, I am, right? I just feel like I'm scratching the surface. I
Yeah.
would love to be able to wake up and think I'm looking forward to the challenges of the day. But most of the time I'm thinking, oh fucking hell, here we go again. Right.
I've just had enough.
Yeah, yeah, no, I
Like
understand.
I'm in this place where I've had enough and I'm feeling good at the minute and I don't want any more. I'm just being honest with you, I don't want
No, I
any
know
more.
you're
There's a massive part of me where it's like I know and understand that everything that comes up for me over the next while is useful to me and there's growth inside of all of it. But by the same token as well, I'm like, I'm just fed up. I'm fed up. I've had enough. I don't I have enough on my plate now where I have to just be more conscious about where I'm putting my energy and my focus. And I cannot entertain other people's anything. Like
perfect.
unless it's right in front of me, unless it's right in front of me and it is part of that curriculum, it's not mine.
And that's
It's just where
fine.
I'm at.
That to me seems perfect. It seems honest,
Mm.
right? It's not
Yeah.
saying that now that I've had a spiritual awakening, I'm on a spiritual path. I don't feel any pain anymore and I love
No.
everybody and all that. No, well,
No.
I don't feel like that. People think
No.
he's a very personable fella. Most of the time, I'm trying to get away from people so I can
Yeah.
be by myself, right?
Me
Because I
too.
enjoy my own company, right? See, we're being honest now in front of an audience, if you like. We're being
Yeah.
honest, right?
Mm.
Now, people have an idea of me that I go round and I send love and light to everybody. Couldn't be further from the fucking truth, right? But I do know that by being honest, other people say, you've just said that. I feel a bit the same way as well. So there's an identification then at a deeper level. That to me is what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
Because other people have ideas of me. 34 and a half years ago, I handed my will and my life and my choices and everything, every single part of Joseph Delaney. He
Yeah.
went like that and he said to the universe, over to you, universe. Please show me how the fuck to do this thing because I don't know. And ever since that day, Shanine,
Yeah.
I've still not known what's coming up. People say to me, what's your 5-year plan? I haven't got a 5-minute plan. I don't know what's coming up. But I do know one thing.
Mm.
Me and Holy Spirit, me and God, me and soul, me and whatever the fuck this thing is, I know that we'll be able to cope with it. It and I, right? And people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, that's you in the future," and that I couldn't give a shit. And I really couldn't give a shit what's going on in the world outside. I'm not interested. The only thing I'm interested in is doing the correct thing that feels right to me
In the
here,
moment.
right
Yeah.
in front of me in this moment now, because that's the
Yeah.
only time I've got any power to do anything to change anything about myself.
Yeah, I'm not saying, Joe, that I'm defensive or rejecting anyone or anything that comes my way. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that for my own growth here, it's become necessary for me to detach a lot. And of course, and I've seen an improvement in the way that I'm choosing things as a result. And also, like, I want to have some fun in my life now. Like, everything's been really hard, and I just want to have some fun and have new people and not be so isolated. I was never meant to have this. I wanted to have a big house with like a revolving door and people in and out of it all the time. And I wanted to travel for like the greater part of a year every year. I didn't want this secular, repetitive year with my family. I wanted to learn languages within. I wanted to write books. There were all these things I wanted. And at the minute I'm like, I'm grabbing where I can experiences now that allow me to feel closer to myself again because I've just been working. Like I've just been working and that's not what we're here for. We're here to enjoy our lives. Like, and I really, really deeply feel that. And it's not going to look like the way other people do it. It looks the way we want to enjoy our lives, how we want to express and what feels good for us. And I'm lonely and spending too much time on my own. I don't want to be. Like, and I just, there's part of me guilty almost that, I've been through so much recently and maybe a part of this um big awakening journey that I've been on. I need to keep my nose to the grindstone and keep working for other people and being sort of, well, no, I need a bit of crack as well. Like, we're still human. Like, and I can't bear like another months of me just by myself talking to a tree. Like I can't do it. I've read all the books in the house.
Yeah.
I'm on the last two. I want to go out and live. I want to go out and live. And I'm not letting anything restrict me in that regard anymore.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. And I think that's the way. I can't say anything wrong with that. Perfect.
No,
You
no, me
know,
neither.
yeah, because my theme is the joy of living, right? And I can feel when it's clamping in, and I think, oh fuck this for a lark. He swore again. Fuck. My one is like because some people put on the poster do sometimes you silly shit or you this that, and I don't like what I do is GFY. And
Yeah.
they think it's go fuck yourself. Well, it's not. It's good for you.
I know this. You
Yeah,
told me
I
that
do that
before.
because part of my enjoyment is to take the piss out of people to help them to realize, oh, fuck off. Stop being so fucking responsible and miserable and professional,
And that was
right?
me. That
Get a
was me
fucking
for
get
so
a life.
long.
Yeah. But we've been programmed automatons. And
Yeah.
if you can't make a choice, like stepping forward or stepping back, having sex, not having sex, being intimate, not being, if you can't do one or the other, then you're limited and you need to stop there and you'll get the lessons until you create a different habit, or should I say, unblock an old habit. Because who we are, essentially, this, is
Yeah.
it's about letting go. It's keeping hold of that causes pain. Letting go's easy. And my thing is, my sort of prayer is, fuck it. I'll have a go anyway and see what happens next. You know. And that's what I do all the time. I stick my chin out now and I think I'll have a go at this and see what happens. And people around me, if I tell anybody, they go, oh, you can't, oh, it's like my mother. Oh, you can't do that. Don't do that. What will they think this? I
Mm.
haven't got that anymore. I've got, what do I feel like doing? Do you
Yeah.
know? And this is what I can do now. If I make a cock up and I unwittingly hurt somebody else, I'll go back and I'll say, look, I'm sorry about that. I've made a cock up there. If there's anything I can do to put it right, please tell me. But I
Yeah.
apologize. I couldn't say sorry before. Right. And here's another thing is I don't have to explain myself to anybody. Right. I don't have to. Sometimes it's easy to say, well, the reason I did this is this, but if it feels right for me to explain it, I'll do it. And if not, I'll just turn around and walk away. It's
It's
like
just
people
like,
invite me to loads of parties where they're all getting bladdered. I was at one, they're all getting bladdered, right? And I just get up. I don't have to say goodbye, I'm going now and all that. I just get up and walk out because they'll probably never even remember that I've been there, right? So I don't have to say anything. Total and utter rigorous honesty. But as I said before and this is something I've learned is sometimes you can't be rigorously honest with yourself by yourself. You need somebody who loves you really unconditionally, who can say, well, I don't see it the way you're seeing it now, Joe. You know,
no, I get that. I
yeah,
appreciate that too.
no. So that's it now. I'm bored. No, I'm not really. I'm not really. But we didn't know what we were going to talk about. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's lovely to see you and it's lovely to talk to you. And let's do another one of these if it be the will of the universe, right? A little bit further down the line.
That'd be lovely. Thank you, Joe. It's been really nice. It always is.
You will. And I'll keep you informed about that presentation and see where we go from there.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thanks,
Shani.
everybody.
Bye, love.
Talk to you again.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.